welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic Legend Known Classics. This is episode number 2212 and Doubleshot number 2006. I have a Excel trade and a Fantastic Four trade. First up, we have Manowar Volume 8, Enter Armorines. This actually is the one that pretty much it collects issues 30, 32, and issue 0. Fun fact, 30 was the issue where it was the first regular issue I read when the series was coming out. Yeah, I basically started on it during the latter half of the series run, sadly. Mostly put the whole Inter-Armor stuff, deals with Athena, the Armor Hunters crossover, and builds up more of the actual story itself. Now, of course, Arc is basically full of the XO. Now, the thing that started with the first year, they put in here issue 0 because, of course, I have issue 0. Here's the thing. The interior artwork for the issue 0 is done by Clay Mann. The inker is basically Seth Mann. I did ask who Seth Mann is. I asked Clay Mann this himself. Who is Seth Mann? It's his brother. Diego Bernard basically does the regular issues. Yep. And but that is a Clay Mann cover. Yeah, most people issue 0. It's just Arc's backstory before it became before he became host of the X. It's basically what he was doing just prior to the events of issue 1. The Armorines, I've read about these guys. Basically, it's similar to what they did with Inter Ninjak. Basically, they bring in old characters from the previous continuity and they bring in new continuity. That's mostly what this is. And these guys did have a miniseries recently, so yeah. It's mostly put guys who basically just... What I can tell by it looks like they're basically Valiant's version of maybe the Micronauts. Yep. Story's pretty good. Give this book a 9 out of 10. Yep. Next up we have is Fantastic Four, Volume 25, Strange Days. Collecting issues of Fantastic Four, 403 to 416, Fantastic Four The Legend, Onslaught of the Marvel Universe, and Tales of the Marvel Universe. Now, here's the fun thing, though. I've actually reviewed already issues 402, 401, 402, because they're part of the Atlantis, I think it's Fantastic Four, Astonishing Humans, Atlan Rising crossover. Which I did find out, though, that the volume coming for this one, what was supposed to be volume 24, is coming out next year. Now, mostly for these issues, now, you probably noticed with the cover that Sue Storm is wearing an outfit that she would sport during the relaunch post-Heroes, during Heroes Reborn. I did notice that, too. It's the same exact outfit she actually wore during that run for some reason. I'm not really sure why. My only guess is the reason why they had wear it during that run, because this is probably where it first showed up. Now, during these issues, we have Scott Lang, part of the team this period of time. He's mostly been hired by Sue Richards to fill the spot of her husband. Not to be her husband, per se. No, not that. Be the smart person team. That's most what he's there for. We have Namor, where he's hitting on Sue because Reed is still kind of declared dead, though he does show up later on in the story. Oh, and also, Reed and Namor get into a fight over Storm. Yes, seriously. This is like standard stuff. Like, even people in real life would find out this. The writing issues are by Tom DeFalco, Paul Ryan, Mark Waid, and Scott Lobdell. Of these writers, I have met 2 of them. I met Mark Waid and Scott Lobdell. The art are working on by Paul Ryan, who does also writing too, Carlos Pacillo, Adam Kubert, John Buscema, Joe Bennett, and Rick Lenardi. The cover art you see in the cover here, that is Carlos Pacillo, Bob Winnick, and Veronica Guinea. The back cover is Paul Ryan. Now, Ladra, who, if you're curious about this woman here, she at one point was posing as Alicia Masters. And she also briefly married Johnny Storm issue 300 Fantastic Four. Until they retconned this was not Alicia Masters, it was basically Leandra posing Alicia Masters, and Alicia Masters was never in love with Johnny Storm in the first place. Yep. Now, as for why, you have to read the story to find out. It's quite weird, and it was the 80s. And who did that retcon? I believe that was Tom DeFalco did that. Yeah, he was actually long-term of the book, mostly. We have that. We also have here with Onslaught. Now, here's the thing. Now, in the case of the last couple issues, 415, 416, here's the strange thing about these issues. These issues haven't printed before in the Onslaught Big Collection trade. But they never collected the whole... I think, 416 was fully collected. I think 416 was mostly collected. But they skipped some pages in that one for some reason because it has nothing to do with Onslaught. So it's kind of similar to what they did with Avengers 400, which all they collected from that entire big issue was the final page. No, seriously, that's all they did was collect the last page. The reason, because it lets the Avengers involvement in the crossover. Yep, there's stuff related to Onslaught in here. Well, the stuff in here is really good. The Thing gets his face fixed finally after a little while, face not fixed. The one-shots themselves, Onslaught Universe, that's basically a conclusion of the Onslaught crossover. The Legend is basically a retelling of the Fantastic Four, got the powers. And Tales of the Marvel Universe, another Fantastic Four story. Everything here is really good. And now, in the case of more epic collections, by the way, I give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. It's just really good here. Yeah. Now, Ant-Man still, of course, is off the team by the time Reed comes back. When Reed comes back, he's got full beard, he's got long hair, still got gray at the temples. Oh, yeah, and also, there was one issue the one issue I mentioned where Reed and Namor are fighting each other over Sue. Yep. But I found these issues to be so fun. And keeping these issues came up in the period of 1995 to 1996. So with this book in particular, the second half of 90s of Fantastic Four is all done. Well, the only way to conclude I got from this point until like recent stuff I got done is to get done the Mark Waid issues. The Mark Waid, Mike Wendigo issues. I will be reviewing those trades in the future, so I'll finally get this stuff. Like, this will be another series. It'll be probably the second series I get this far back done. Like, get from 96 to present. The only one that's actually the big furthest back is Daredevil, because Daredevil got completely out of the 90s. Fantastic Four is getting there. They're getting there, definitely. But Fantastic Four, from what I can tell, never a bad issue. Now, let's think about Fantastic Four throughout the original first volume. It never really had a bad issue. In the case of Road Riders, there have been some bad issues Fantastic Four published since this particular run. But the original 14, 4, and 16 issue, unlike what was the case with Daredevil, where occasionally had some bad issues, Fantastic Four is actually one series, probably the reason why it lasted as long as it did. And this is my honest opinion. I never thought that the series ever had any bad issues. Never did. I'm still not done with reviewing Fantastic Four number 1, even though yes, this kind of is the end of volume 1, yes. Well, the original 14, 16 issues. But I'm happy to review it. When I saw that my library got my hands on this book, I'm like, I had to get it. Yep. So yeah. Not much else these two trades. They're both really good. Okay, so that's episode of It's probably going to be a video today. So stay tuned for tomorrow for Doctor Who, reviewing Armageddon Factor, and maybe Comic Corner 2. Okay, next video. Bye.